The video was created to provide insight into the complexities surrounding the commutation of pension and restoration of full pension on recovery of the commuted amount. It specifically focuses on the central government, public sector banks, and the State Bank of India. The video aims to explain the rationale behind the reduction in the restoration period. Let us know what is commutation of pension. Commutation refers to the process where a pension opts to receive a lump sum amount by foregoing a portion of his monthly pension for a certain period. Instead of receiving a portion of their regular pension payment each month, retirees have the option to receive a lump sum payment in advance. This option is available to those who have a defined benefit pension plan, which is a type of pension plan where the employer will pay a specific amount of benefit to the employee after retirement. The rules and procedures for commutation of pension vary from organization to organization. Advantages of commutation of pension. The pensioner will get a lump sum amount on forfeiting a part amount of his monthly pension. The lump sum amount will be at his disposal, which can be used by the pensioner for his needs, such as children's education, marriages, hospital expenses, purchase of house, etc. The value of future part payments may be reduced due to inflation. The pensioner will have the opportunity to get higher rate of return to protect from the inflation. The pensioner will have an opportunity to invest the lump sum amount to earn profit more than the future part payment. Disadvantages of commutation of pension are: pensioner gets reduced pension every month till the full pension is restored after a certain period. Pension amount after deduction of commuted value may not be sufficient to meet daily needs of his family until the full pension is restored. If the pensioner is healthy and expected to live longer, then commutation will not be suitable for him as he gets less amount of pension for long time. There is a possibility of mismanaging the lump sum amount received on commutation of pension, which results in financial burden. To calculate commutation of pension, the first step is to calculate average monthly basic pay eligible for such calculation. The next step is to calculate 50% of the above resultant, which is his eligible monthly pension. Then calculate commutation amount using the formula, that is commuted value multiplied by commutation factor multiplied by 12. Let us calculate commutation of pension taking the commuted pension as 1000 rupees for age 61 for SBI, public sector banks including erstwhile State Bank of Hyderabad, and central government pensioners. For the pensioner who retired at the age of 60, the commutation factor corresponding to age 61 should be taken, as his age would be 61 on the next date of birth. For State Bank of India pensioner, the commutation factor is 6.60, 9.81 for public sector banks including erstwhile State Bank Hyderabad, and 8.194 for central government pensioners. Commutation amount for SBI pensioner comes to Rs 79,200, Rs 1,17,720 for public sector banks including State Bank of Hyderabad pensioners, and Rs 98,328 for central government pensioners. While the total amount of repayment for all the pensioners is same, that is Rs 1,80,000 in 180 months. The factors affecting commutation amount. The amount of commuted pension is determined by various factors, including the eligible monthly basic pension, maximum percentage of monthly basic pension eligible for commutation, age of the pensioner, and the fraction of pension that is commuted. The commutation factor, which is predefined by the pension scheme and based on actuarial valuation, affects the calculation of the commuted pension. Let us know what is commutation factor. The commutation amount is calculated using a commutation factor that depends primarily on the pensioner's age at the time of commutation. The commutation factor determines how much lump sum a pensioner will receive on commuting a part of his pension. It represents the present value of the future stream of pension payments. Commutation value is expressed as number of years purchase. Basis for arriving at the commutation factors: 1 is mortality rate and life expectancy. How long the pensioner is expected to live after commutation. As the age of the pensioner increases, the commutation factor decreases because the expected payout period is short. The longer the life expectancy at a particular retirement age, the lower the commutation factor as the pension is spread out over more years. Second is inflation rate. The calculation also accounts for the present value of money, meaning that a lump sum paid today is generally worth more than periodic future payments. Third is interest rate. The assumed interest rate plays a critical role, as it helps estimate the discounted present value of the pension amount. Lower interest rates generally increase the commutation factors as the lump's equivalent rises, while higher rates reduce them. Let us know about the commutation of pension of central government. Central government employees are governed by the Central Civil Services Commutation of Pension Rules, 1981. Defined benefit pension scheme is applicable for employees who joined before 1st January 2004. Commutation is permitted up to 40% of. No medical examination is required if the option is exercised within 1 year of retirement. Commutation payable is calculated with reference to the commutation factor. The monthly pension will stand reduced by the commuted portion, and the commuted portion will be restored at the expiry of 15 years from the date of receipt of the commuted value of pension. Dearness relief, however, will continue to be calculated on the basis of the original pension, that is without reduction of commuted portion. In the event of death of a pensioner, commuted portion will be deducted from the family pension. The central government may consider the recommendations of the Central Pay Commissions appointed from time to time with regard to the commutation of pension and implement the accepted recommendations. Let us know the recommendations of the 4th Central Pay Commission with regard to the commutation of pension. The report mentions that after 1950, commutation table has been revised 3 times, that is November 1963, November 1967 and March 1971. Commutation table to be updated to reflect new life expectancy data and a reduced restoration period for commuted pensions from 15 to 12 years. The benefit of commutation of pension is at present based on a table developed in March 1971, which inter alia takes into account the average surviving age of pensioners and 4.75% per annum as rate of interest. In the light of the decision of the Supreme Court, the existing scheme of commutation of pension may require a de novo examination. The recommendation of the 5th Central Pay Commission regarding increase of commutation to 40% of pension against the existing limit of 1/3 has been accepted. Whereas, the recommendation with regard to restoration of commuted portion of pension after 12 years instead of 15 years at present has not been accepted without furnishing any reasons for non-acceptance. The 6th Central Pay Commission stated that, originally the amount of pension once commuted was not restored for life. The Supreme Court in writ petitions numbers 3958 to 61 of 1983 directed that the commuted value of pension be restored once the commuted amount is paid and the interest thereon is fully adjusted. Accordingly, orders were issued for restoring the commuted amount of pension after 15 years. These orders were made effective retrospectively from 1st April 1985. The Commission had commissioned the Centre for Economic Studies and Policy, Bangalore for evolving a new commutation table keeping in view all the relevant factors. The government should modify the commutation table being used for purposes of commuting pension accordingly. All future cases of commutation of pension should be considered as per the revised commutation table, which may be revised periodically by the government keeping in view the interest rates and the mortality table. The central government has accepted the recommendation with regard to the consideration of the revised commutation table for all future cases of commutation of pension and revision of the table periodically keeping in view the interest rates and the mortality table. The 7th Central Pay Commission did not recommend a change either in the maximum percentage of commutation or in the period of restoration. Commutation tables adopted by the central government for its employees have been furnished. The Table 1 is effective from 1st March 1971 and valid till 31st December 2005. The table shows commutation value expressed as number of years purchased for ages 17 to 85. For example, if a pensioner retired at the age of 60, his age on the next birthday would be 61, and the commutation factor corresponding to 61 should be taken, that is 9.81. This Table 1 is based on a rate of interest of 4.75% per annum. The next table is effective from 1st January 2006 and valid until the next table is introduced. The commutation factor for age 61 is 8.194, and the table is based on Life Insurance Council's mortality table LIC 1994-96 ultimate and 8% interest. As per the Institute of Actuaries of India, the mortality table LIC 1994-96 ultimate adopted by the central government for commutation values with effect from 2006 is applicable up to 31st December 2004. Mortality tables published by the Life Insurance Council and the Institute of Actuaries of India for certain ages are furnished. The LIC 1994-96 ultimate table based on the data of 1994 to 1996 was valid from 1997 to 2004. Indian Assured Lives Mortality ILM 1994-96 modified ultimate table was published by the Institute of Actuaries of India, was effective from 1st January 2005 till 31st March 2013. Commutation factors furnished in this table are similar to the factors in the LIC 1994-96 table. ILM 2006-8 was valid from April 2013 to March 2019, and ILM 2012-14 is valid from 1st April 2019 onwards. Interpretation of mortality table. The mortality rates provide an annual probability of death for individuals of a specific age. A lower mortality rate indicates better survival probabilities at that age, pointing towards a trend of increased life expectancy. Based on the LIC 1994-96 mortality data, a 60-year-old had a 0.013073 chance of dying within the next year. This means that out of 10 lakhs 60-year-olds, approximately 13,073 be expected to die within a year based at this rate. In comparison, according to the ILM 2012-14 mortality data, a 60-year-old had a 0.01162 chance of dying within the next year. This translates to around 11,162 out of 10 lakhs 60-year-olds expected to die within a year based at this rate. The decline in mortality rates indicates advancements in health, safety, or medical care over time, resulting in reduced mortality risks. Commutation pension in public sector banks including erstwhile State Bank of Hyderabad, which has since been merged into State Bank of India. The eligibility for pension commutation for public sector bank pensioners, including those from the State Bank of Hyderabad, is typically determined by the rules outlined in the Bank Employees Pension Regulations of 1995. Public sector bank employees who retired on or 1st November 1993 are eligible for pension commutation. The former State Bank of Hyderabad and other public sector banks in India generally adhere to the commutation tables prescribed by the government under the Central Civil Services, Commutation of Pension, Rules of 1981. Despite the central government adopting a revised table effective 1st January 2006, public sector banks continue to use the old table. The commuted pension is reinstated after 15 years from the date of commutation. Commutation table adopted by public sector banks including erstwhile State Bank of Hyderabad is furnished. Commutation of pension in State Bank of India. The State Bank of India, SBI, contributes 10% of each employee's salary to the SBI Employees Pension Fund on a monthly basis. This contribution is made for all employees who are members of the fund. Additionally, the bank conducts an actuarial evaluation of the fund's financial condition every fiscal year. Based on this valuation, the bank makes any necessary additional annual contributions to ensure that the benefits outlined in the pension regulations can be paid out. Furthermore, the bank pays interest on amount of in deposit with the bank. The trustees of the fund have the authority to invest the funds in stocks, funds, and securities. Employees are allowed to commute up to 1/3 of their pension, which will be restored after 15 years from the date of commutation. Is commutation of pension in State Bank of India a loan or benefit? The pension scheme in State Bank of India, SBI, has a rich history dating back to the provisions in Bank of Calcutta, Bank of Bengal, Bank of Madras, Bank of Bombay, and Imperial Bank of India. As a result, SBI pensioners have a long-standing tradition of enjoying the benefits of Social Security in the form of a pension after retirement. Regulation 10(3) of the SBI Employees Pension Fund Regulations outlines the payments made under these regulation benefits, specifically related to pensions. The absence of any mention of interest in these regulations indicates that the commuted value of the pension does not accrue interest. Unlike a loan, commutation does not require repayment with interest. Instead, it is offered as part of a pension scheme to provide retirees with upfront money while adjusting future pension payments with monthly recovery of commuted amount. Additionally, commutation of pension is included in the superannuation benefits offered by the bank. Therefore, it is more accurately described as a benefit or facility provided by the bank. The State Bank of India implemented its own commutation table distinct from those used by the central government and other public sector banks. The commutation table adopted by the State Bank of India is furnished. Commutation factor for age 61 is 6.60. The basis for this table has not been disclosed by the bank. Now, let us analyze the pension commutation provisions in the State Bank of India in comparison to those of the central government and public sector banks. The State Bank of India has adopted specific commutation factors for different age groups in comparison to the central government and public sector banks. Upon reviewing the data, it is evident that the commutation factors utilized by SBI are significantly lower than those of other instances, resulting in SBI pensioners receiving much lesser amount of commutation. Furthermore, it has been noted that the commutation factor for age 61 in SBI is equivalent to that of age 71 in the former SBH and other public sector banks. This means what a former SBH pensioner would receive at age 61, an SBI pensioner would receive at age 51. Due to merger of SBH into SBI, two distinct commutation rates are prevailing within the SBI. The calculation of pension commutation amounts for pensioners at age 61 in SBI, other public sector banks, and the central government has been provided. SBI pensioners receive a commutation amount of 79,200 rupees for every 1,000 rupees. In comparison, former SBH pensioners and pensioners from other public sector banks receive 1,17,720 rupees and 98,328 rupees respectively for the same commuted value of 1,000 rupees. The total amount of recovery is 1,80,000 rupees, payable in 180 monthly installments of the commuted value, which is consistent across all categories. While SBI pensioners have the commuted amount recovered in 80 months, as no interest is specified, and is recovering the amount over 180 months. For pensioners from other public sector banks, the commuted amount with interest at 4.75% per annum is recovered in 146 months, and in 132 months at 8% for central government pensioners. The State Bank of India, SBI, has not disclosed the specific interest rate and other factors used to determine the commutation factors. However, it is evident that the bank is recovering 1,80,000 rupees, while providing 79,200 rupees on a value of 1,000 rupees. The excess amount recovered may be treated as interest, and the rate of interest received by the bank on the commutation amount is then calculated. It is noted that the bank is recuperating the commutation amount of 79,200 rupees at a rate of 12.96%. Out of the total amount of rupees 1,80,000 recovered, the principal amount and interest amount make up 44% and 56% respectively. It is evident from the tables of commutation factors that there is a significant disparity in commutation factors adopted by the SBI compared to others. Lack of transparency in the rationale or disclosure of the underlying assumptions raises concerns. The commutation for SBI pensioners is 67.38% of what public sector bank pensioners receive, and 80.67% of what pensioners of central government receive. However, the repayable amount and period remain consistent for all pensioners. Upon adding the commutation factors, it becomes evident that retirees from the public sector banks, including former State Bank of Hyderabad retirees, receive a commutation amount of 6 rupees and 60 paise at the age of 71, while SBI retirees receive the same amount at the age of 61. Conversely, what SBI retirees receive at age 51 is equivalent to what public sector bank retirees receive at 61. In fact, the commutation factor decreases as age advances. This significant disparity with the SBI raises concerns. The commutation factors have not been consistently reviewed or updated to reflect demographic and economic changes. This lack of revision in the commutation tables underscores a disconnect between current demographic and economic trends and the actuarial assumptions used in pension commutation calculations. Despite significant shifts in mortality rates, life expectancy, and interest rates over the years, SBI has continued to rely on outdated commutation tables. Actuarial valuation adopted by the SBI are not publicly available. Key factors to be considered by the State Bank of India to review and revise the commutation factors and restoration period. The pension fund at SBI is established on a solid foundation, with employees contributing 10% of their basic pay throughout their pensionable service to ensure ample reserves are available. By maintaining a lower commutation factor, the bank benefits from delayed outflows, allowing more funds to invest, albeit potentially at the expense of retirees. Essentially, lower commutation factors indirectly bolster the bank's pension fund reserves, resulting in retirees receiving smaller upfront benefits. Retirees may feel dissatisfied if the assumptions behind these factors are not fully disclosed. SBI's preference for retaining more money raises questions about whether the bank is withholding a fair benefit that retirees deserve. The reduction in commutation payout and the recovery of commutation value over a period of 15 years make it a strategy where SBI holds on to more of the pension corpus for reinvestment rather than prioritizing retirees' benefits. When the pension fund is already well-funded through 10% basic pay contributions and investment returns, the decision to keep the commutation factor low may be called into question. Given the fund's sustainability and financial stability, there appears to be no valid reason preventing SBI from considering a more favorable commutation factor. In the unfortunate event of a pensioner's passing, a family pension is provided to their dependent family member. Both pension and family pension payments are distributed exclusively from the SBI pension fund. However, family pension is notably lower than the pension received by the pensioner, resulting in a reduced payout from the pension fund upon the pensioner's death. This arrangement ultimately benefits the bank rather than posing a burden, loss, or risk. Considering these factors, it is essential for the SBI to prioritize transparency and fairness when determining commutation factors and the restoration of full pension. Let us discuss the validity of underlying assumptions in commutation factors. Commutation factors. Commutation of a pension is a benefit provided to employees after they have completed the minimum eligible pensionable service upon retirement. Therefore, charging interest or considering the interest rate to determine the commutation factor is deemed unfair. The Commutation Table of 2006 is based on the LIC 1994-96 data. The Life Insurance Council published a mortality table in 1997 using data from 1994 to 1996. This table was valid until 31 December 2004 according to the Institute of Actuaries of India. Therefore, continuing to use a table based on outdated mortality data is unjust. In the case of the State Bank of India, the basis for determining the commutation factors was not disclosed and details of the actuarial valuation were not made public. Furthermore, the commutation table has remained unchanged since its introduction in 1994, which is unacceptable. It is imperative that commutation factors be revised periodically to account for changes in demographic and economic conditions. This will ensure fairness and accuracy in the calculation of pension benefits for employees. Mortality rate. The Institute of Actuaries of India provides mortality tables used for actuarial calculations. These tables provide valuable insights into mortality rates at different ages, enabling the calculation of commutation factors for pensions. Over the years, mortality trends have shown a significant decline, with rates per 1,000 people dropping from 14.9 in 1971 to 6.0 in 2020, 7.3 in 2013, and further down to 6.1 in 2023. The mortality factor, as reported by the Institute of Actuaries of India, has consistently decreased from 0.0 to 0.14 in 1973 to 0.013073 in 2004 and 0.00649 in 2021. This indicates a risk factor of less than 0.1%. Insurance and pension funds in India commonly rely on the Indian Assured Lives Mortality (ILM) tables, such as ILM 2006-8 and ILM 2012-14, as recommended by the Institute of Actuaries of India. In the unfortunate event of a pensioner's passing, a family pension is provided to their dependent family member. While the family pension is notably lower than the pension received by the pensioner, the mortality rate does not pose any significant risk to the employer. Life expectancy. According to the SRS-based life table published by the Office of the Registrar General, the average life expectancy at birth in India has shown a significant increase from 66.1 years in 2013 to 71.1 years in 2023. These statistics reflect a consistent upward trend in life expectancy in India. These positive trends suggest notable advancements in healthcare services and overall living conditions in the country over the years. The pattern of higher commutation at younger ages and their subsequent decrease as age progresses is attributed to the fact that individuals with a lower life expectancy will receive a lesser amount of commuted funds, while those with a higher life expectancy will receive a larger sum. As individuals, a smaller portion of commuted funds is disbursed, thereby minimizing the risk of having to recover the commuted amount in the future. In reality, the monthly amount recovered from a pensioner significantly less than the family pension that would be paid out upon the pensioner's passing. Therefore, if the life expectancy rate is low, this is not a risk factor. The prevailing interest rates at the time of announcement of commutation tables were much higher than the present interest rates. Lending rates of 12.25% to 14.75% reduced to 7.60 to 7.90% during 2022-23. SBI, State Bank Advance Rate, reduced from 16.50 in 1985 to 86 to 10.25 in 2005-6. RBI repo rate reduced from 6.5% in 2006 to 5% in 2020. The interest rate on fixed deposits were slashed down from 12.14% to 5% to 7%. PPF interest rate 1985 to 2005 12%, 1st January 2006 8%, 1st January 2022 7.1%. As commutation of pension is a benefit rather than an advance provided to the employees on their retirement, interest rate should not be the basis for arriving at the commutation factors. Employer should not make a profit by charging interest on the funds provided to the retirees, as the commutation of pension is a retirement benefit provided by the employer. The commutation tables are based on certain interest rate, which is unjust. Legal decisions. Following are the inferences drawn from the Supreme Court judgment in writ petition number 3958-61. No link of the concept of commutation can be made to life insurance and expectancy. The period of recovery for interest cannot exceed 2 years after the recovery of the principal amount based upon the years of purchase. Changed circumstances, higher life expectancy, lower risk factor, reduced commutation factor and decreased interest rate. The commutation table effective from 1st March 1971 is till 1st September 2008 with an interest rate of 4.75%. The next table is effective from 2nd September 2008 till now with an interest rate of 8%. Should be revised periodically. There is no justification to recover more what has been advanced. Report of the Second National Judicial Pay Commission. The Supreme Court of India on 9th May 2017 in writ petition number 643/2015 directed to appoint a Judicial Pay Commission to review the pay scales, emoluments and service conditions of the judicial officers of subordinate judiciary in India. Accordingly, the government notified setting up of the Second National Judicial Pay Commission on 16 November 2017 under the chairmanship of Mr. Justice retired. P. Venkatrama Reddy, former Judge of Supreme Court of India. The committee has submitted its report on 4th February 2020. Following the committee's recommendations, commutation value of pension is too long and a fresh look has to be taken in view of the long passage of time. Government should not stand to gain or lose in the transaction, which is basically in the nature of welfare measure. The period of restoration of commuted pension shall be such that the government shall be able to recover the amount released in lump sum with reasonable interest, and the period of restoration determined shall not be such as to result in profit to the government. The fact that the pensioner gets advantage in the form of lump sum amount should not be stretched too far. The commutation amount with interest thereon at 8% per annum stands recovered in 131 months, i.e. less than 11 years. In any case, it would not go beyond 12 years ever after, providing for some unforeseen contingencies, and prima facie no disadvantage is going to be caused to the government as well as to the pensioners. The Commission's prima facie view is that restoration should take place after 12 years, if not earlier. The government's stand, based on the observation of the Hobbieli Supreme Court in the year 1986 that the restoration period should be 15 years, has lost its relevance in the present-day context and cannot be taken as a binding precedent for all time to come. Against the petitions filed by some pensioners at High Court of Punjab and Haryana, Kerala High Court, Allahabad High Court, Jammu and Kashmir High Court, and Telangana High Court, the courts have issued orders restraining respondents from making further recovery of commutation value until further notice. Restoration period for the pensioners of Assam State Government and Rajasthan State Government is 14 years from the date of commutation. Gujarat State Government has reduced the restoration period from 15 years to 13 years, with effect from October 2022. Conclusion. The commutation factors need to be regularly updated to accurately reflect shifts in demographic and economic circumstances. It is crucial to maintain clear communication and documentation regarding commutation factors and actuarial valuations in order to uphold transparency and adhere to principles of fairness. Transparency and fairness in pension commutation should be ensured across all pension payment organizations and institutions. Pension commutation is a valuable benefit offered to employees upon retirement after dedicating many years of service to the organization or institution. It is important that any deductions made for the benefit upon retirement do not surpass the actual amount of the benefit provided. Thank you for watching. If the video is informative, please like, subscribe and share. S. Satyanarayan, Satya Videos.